Discretion is advised.
Happy Monday. You're listening and or watching Phonecast. This is episode 189. It's not Monday, is it? Shit. So it's not Monday, guys. Just kidding. That's how long we've had this show going on Monday is that. FYI, in case you guys were interested. It's been like 2 years since we've been doing it on Monday. So just kidding. Happy Thursday, technically. For those of you that are listening or watching. When it's not live, you will be hearing this on a Friday. This is episode 189. We are in patch 7.3.2 for probably about another month or so. Tonight, we're going to be talking about all the goings-on around Azeroth. This does include the cosmos, because it's not just Azeroth. It's Argus and, you know, all the other things. We're going to be talking about a lot of patch 7.3.5 stuff. Rem has compiled a nice little list of his favorite love to hate bad guys. Jimma Banks has lots of pet stuff, which is nice to see that there's pet things, right? Because there's never pet stuff, right? We have that and much, much more, so make sure you guys stay right here.
You have crossed into the world of the dead in search of answers.
Amongst the Azeroth elite, there is a group that defies convention. A group that stands in the face of trolls and doesn't flinch. A group that strives on unity, trust, and unwavering resolve. A group that eats tacos. For the players, by the players, we bring you. She can start a revolt with a Chaos Bolt, Bell, the Phonecast Vanguard. Snap back and get faster for the Pet Battle Grandmaster, Jimma Banks. With holy might as strong as his ancient knowledge, Remedies, the Argent Loremaster. We bow to no one. We are Legion. We are Phonecast.
Whoa, we are Phonecast. Maybe. So, it's that time of the show where I'm not 100% sure if I really want to unmute these guys. Although I have to tell you, pre-show, I've never really seen them so energetic for a Thursday night. So I'm actually going to go ahead and unmute because I feel like you guys deserve it, right?
I feel like last week we were pretty turned up before with the tongue twisters.
Yes, Val, thank you for having us.
Why? No, I don't want you to go normal. I need you to be just like...
Hi, I'm normal. Nice weather we're having.
Don't be your weird self. Be your weird self. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I just want to point out before I do the intros that I'm mildly creeped out by Jim as Ninja Turtle, that I feel like every episode is like plotting our death. Does anybody else that watches this versus the audio version feel like the Ninja Turtle is just like plotting our death? No?
He's giving you like Fonzie thumbs up. He's like, hey.
You would have something like that. So
He supports
awkward.
us.
Well, I did bring the Riders of Rohan with me. I did bring the monk who... You still don't have your frickin' brute?
No. I'm not Farmer John or John McDonald or whoever that guy is. I don't know. No, I don't have it. One of my friends did.
Farmer Robert?
Farmer Robert, baby. One of my friends did because they made sure they sent me a picture that they had it and I still did not. But it's weird. It says that I had 2 plots to plant from, but it only lets me plant one at a time. I'm sure that could be a user error.
So would you say that you're trying to get to the root of the problem?
Ooh.
I can't even take credit for that because it's not mine. So, like, I really want to take credit for it, but...
I was going to say taking a page out of Rem's punny book.
I know. Rem's puns are just, like, those are really unbeatable.
You guys are just barking up the wrong tree, okay?
Whoa. I'm not barking up any tree, okay? Well...
Woof.
Well, maybe. I did also bring the priest who is rising from the dead... with his new 110 priest. It's a horde priest. Rem, they just nerfed priests. Why?
Don't even fucking get me started on that.
Why
shit.
would you want to do that?
On a happier note, my undead priest is level 110. Yes, thank you very much. I'm getting it ready for BFA because got to save all those Zandalaris and shit from their sinking island. Don't get me started on the nerves because that's noticeable.
The sinking island?
No, yeah.
Is that a hot topic, the nerfs?
For Rem, I mean, they did some demonology and affliction changes that didn't really...
they buffed affliction, technically speaking.
It didn't hurt me any because I'm not either of those things, but they did give him a small nerf. It's a little rough. I'm sure Rem will talk about that.
Yeah. Small.
In his week in WoW, because he seemed to be super frustrated. So let's get right into the news, because we do have a lot of stuff to talk about. The weekly event coming up for the reset on Tuesday, which is going to be the 12th. That event is going to be the arena skirmishes, which is nice because you also get an honor buff for the skirmishes that you do. So it's kind of a twofold. You get the weekly plus the honor buff. So definitely take advantage of that, especially if you don't do rateds. Like, I don't do rateds right now because it's not the place for Bell to be, guys. We don't...
Scrub.
Whatever.
I like that when I read that with the extra honor. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, though it's really nice to just take advantage of that. Even if you're just, like, just running random... Even if you're getting your teeth kicked in and you're losing, you're at least getting something. So...
Yeah.
Might as well get the 2-for-1 out of that. And you might get a lovely RNG piece out of your weekly chest that may or may not be useful for you, may or may not be the stats that you need, and may or may not help you in PvP. Or it could just be marks of honor and or golds, because that's the gearing system that we have for PvP as of current. Now, I hope you guys noted my thick sarcasm there, because I'm hoping the powers that be at Blizzard can fix this bull stuff.
I caught it.
Good. I'm glad I was laying it on just a little extra thick, just in case some people thought I was like being super happy about it. No, I'm really not.
Oh,
But,
I thought you were excited. I'm confused.
no. However, the PvP brawl for next week, guys, just a reminder, this is next week, Gravity Lapse, which is Eye of the Storm. That's where you like shoot yourself up in the air and
so
like
dumb.
It's not on my
mind
list.
it.
It's not on my list of favorites, but I don't dislike it either. Like, I don't, it's not terrible, but
You're indifferent.
yeah, I'm indifferent. I like the way you think. Indifferent. I never would have used that.
You're indifferent.
Holy,
Yeah.
holy $50 word. That's amazing.
Ding, ding, ding. What does he win, Johnny?
I thought you said something else. We don't need to go into that, guys. We don't have to make it weird. We could just keep on, keep on keeping on. So for Mythic progression, I needed to pull up this, and I apologize.
10 of 11.
I know that it's 10 of 11, but I was going to give the progress of what's going on. Now, guys, I don't want to brag, but I'm going to brag. But it's not really anything to brag about on my side, except I just get to say, like, I'm part of this. So for the Mythic progression, Method actually has a really nice, like, built thing that they did. I didn't do it. Styrim, who also helps do things for Icy Veins, him and the developers for the Method website actually had been putting it together the last, I think, 3 tiers. What I like about it is it's nice because it tells you. Now, I want to talk about this because obviously right now they're still working on the last boss. Limit pretty much had, I think, up until like the 9th boss, maybe the 8th boss, because I know Method took Agrimar world first. But up until then, Limit and I think it's Big Dumb Guild had basically been... That's
the name of it?
Yeah, that's what...
I was laughing when I saw that.
I'm not being a dick. That's what they're called. So, like, world first for the very first boss. Garathi Worldbreaker, Big Dumb Guild was world first. And then Limit was second. What I wanted to talk about in this, since we still don't know who's going to clear this, the 9th boss, Method, had world first. Exorcius had world second. What I thought was interesting about this, the NA people had a whole day, right? They had a whole day. Was it 2 days or a day before? I feel like it's just a day.
It was like a 75%
like
of
a
that.
day and some change, right? A day and some change. They had a whole day to clear this. The EU folks, the second it's live for them, they're already caught up to where the NA guys are already at. Then enter in everybody's favorite players, Asia. They pop in right away with 9/11, like the first 3 hours it's even available. So
Careful.
I think that that's just kind of a testament that in the time it took, Limit to down Limit and the other NA guilds that are doing this, the EU guys just come in and like, oh, fuck all your progress because we're just going to catch right up to you even though you had a day lead. Now, I'm not saying that means that EU or Asia is better. I've been
That's exactly what
no,
you
but I've been
said.
saying for like the last year that these guys are on a whole different playing field. Like they're on a whole other level, 100%. So, and because I am privy to the insider stuff, I know that these raid guys have barely even taken breaks to eat, and Jari has been having to cook food for Sko because he's main tank, so like he has to be involved. I don't know who's going to win this, to be perfectly honest. Obviously, I want to say Method because I'm Method. I have to represent my people, but we have some really good raid teams. Now, Limit, for all of their issues in the past with exploiting things and stuff like that, I feel like perhaps they've learned their lesson because, you know, several of their people were banned and all that. I did also think that Limit wasn't raiding, so I'm not sure. I thought for some reason I saw that Limit wasn't raiding. But nonetheless, that's what's going on with the progress. I expect probably, I would say by Saturday for sure, we'll have, you know, a final kill for the very last boss. And it could be anybody. It could be
Method.
But it really could be anybody. I want it to be Method just because, obviously. But these guys are they're really, really good. And this year, Method opted to not stream their progression, which I thought was interesting. And I think mostly because I think it's for tactical purposes. They don't want to stream their progression. So I thought that was a smart move as much as
they don't want to show their playbook.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know that I would want to stream. Who wants to see me screaming at shit during progression? It's not pretty.
Maybe not you.
Well, and I don't even do mythics. That's just on heroic. Nobody wants to
bet you there's a small percentage of people that would watch Bell, though, do that for real.
It would be entertaining as shit.
It's not as fun as when I'm PvPing, but I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, Rem is on Zoom with me while I'm also in Twitch, chat for the guild, and has heard me screaming where the guild didn't hear it, just because that's my nature. Like I get frustrated.
Probably best for both parties.
Right, and thank goodness that Twitch is on push to talk because, it would get really awkward if I'm like just running my mouth and it wasn't on push to talk that whole time. Like that would be super embarrassing.
I think it'd be more of you yelling at the dogs or the kids than anything else.
You're probably right, because that does happen quite often. In fact, right before we started, I was screaming at my children because that's the kind of mom I am, guys. Your kids don't listen unless you scream at them, just so you know. When you talk normal and in a nice, quiet, like a very non-aggressive voice, they don't take you seriously.
It's okay, Timmy.
Yeah, they don't take you seriously. It's not until you're like breathing fire and you look like a complete nutcase before your kids will start to take you seriously. And then my 16-year-old always goes, God, you have no chill. I had chill yesterday when I asked you to do something and you didn't do it. Today I don't have any chill because you didn't do said thing. So yeah, probably better that way. So let's talk about the 7.3.5 stuff. I also want to disclaim I'm not going to be talking about allied races tonight. The reason being is there is a lot that we know that isn't 7.3.5 related necessarily. A lot of that is stuff that was put in there on the back end with what I'm assuming is probably going to be for the pre-expansion events. That's my assumption, although Blizzard has stated that it's not till Battle for Azeroth. I don't believe that one bit. I think it's for the pre-expansion stuff because, like I've been saying, I think we're going to be getting the pre-expansion events a lot sooner than people realize. So I would not say that it's going to be 7.3.5 stuff. So next week we'll talk about allied races. We'll talk about the mounts. We'll talk about the racials. We'll talk about the possibilities with some lore stuff with Rem. Like, we'll completely break down allied races. I feel like it deserves its own little thing, especially since it's technically not 7.3.5 information, and I want to make sure that you guys have, the correct information for the patch. The biggest thing for 7.3.5, which I'm sure most of you have already heard about, is going to be the leveling changes that are happening. Now, I looked quite a bit into this, and I did do a little bit of testing in PTR earlier in the week regarding the leveling changes because I wanted to get a feel for it myself, because I wanted to know, have they made it too easy? Have they made it too hard? What are they doing to accommodate both the new players and the old players? Because it is a tough balance for them, and I understand kind of that struggle, which, I mean, poor Blizzard, they just have it rough. So with the level changes, we already know that they're going to be doing zone scaling, similar to how it's done in Legion. You'll be able to actually complete full storylines instead of having to map hop. Now, I know both of you map hop. I map hop. The second I've out-leveled, I'm off to the other map, or I'm chatting in guild getting somebody to fly me somewhere if it's, you know, below having the flight, so I don't have to, like, try to figure out how to scale mountains. But you won't have to worry about that because you'll be able to finish whole storylines. The zones will keep like similar to the current minimum level, but they'll scale to their maximum expansion bracket. So it's going to be broke out into expansions with that. It'll have their minimum plus whatever that expansion max was for that. That'll be kind of what your in between is. They're going to have new recruitment boards, which I have a lovely visual for you guys. It's a lovely visual. And these recruitment boards, they're going to be in the capital cities. It's going to look similar to the artifact selection window. So, you know, when you had your choice of the 3 artifact weapons and you picked the one and then you went back and picked the other, this will basically send you on your journey to a new place pretty similar to the scouting map, right, in your order hall where it would send you to that next spot. So this kind of does it for you, which is, you know, I appreciate that. I think that's nice, especially for new players who don't know where to go next. You kind of have that thing there. Now, there's a couple things here. I don't know what that noise is, but please make it not be a thing. What is that?
What?
Judging by your face, it was you.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you don't know what I'm talking about. Guys, this is what I have to put up with on an everyday basis. This is my life. It's not for everyone, but it's for me. It's a good life.
Yeah.
I hate him so much, guys. Like, I hate him so much. So with the mob health pool, there's like 3 things here that might sound like they're kind of bad, but they're not really bad. And I only know they're not bad because I went in and tested them because they kind of freaked me out. So the mob health pools are going to increase. And this is basically to offset the experience increases that you're getting for these kills. So initially it sounds a little scary. Like right now in PTR, well, right now in live, a level 80 has 5k health, right? So you're fighting just a random level 80, you're one-shotting it, whatever. It has 5k health. In PTR, they have 21k. So they did buff the mob's health, and it is different per zone. That's just kind of to give you guys an idea of what it looks like. But to that end, they're doing an experience increase. So what they wanted to do is, I think, understanding that it takes you like 100 quests to get 1 level because the experience just didn't make sense. That's why a lot of people would use dungeons before they nerfed the dungeon experience and just level because you weren't getting anything for the quest. So if you were leveling an alt, it didn't make sense for you to go through all those quests again. You've already been through them. I do like the fact that they kind of did a really good balance here, and I appreciate that. So the changes that were made in the range of level 10 to 60 only, so nothing beyond 60 so far in PTR, with a peak of 60%, which increases between 20 and level 40. So it's going to cap there. They're probably going to be doing some testing. They made a call out for people to come in and level and give some really solid feedback to, I think, make sure that they could balance it out. Then the last 2 things, and then what I want to do is I want to talk to these guys about how I want to have a little discussion about this. Heirloom nerfs. They're keeping the experience bonus, so nobody freak out, guys. Before y'all get your pitchforks, it's going to be fine. You're still getting the experience bonus for having your heirlooms equipped. But the bonus stats obviously are getting a nerf, especially at the lower item level. It just makes sense that you should struggle maybe like a little bit, but not a lot, right? It shouldn't be... They don't want anybody to one-shot mobs, but they want you to kind of have to put in a little bit work because it's boring if you're kind of one-shotting, in my opinion. My favorite of all of these items is the flying changes. Flashback to having to buy cold weather flying and Pandaland flying and fucking magic carpet ride flying and whatever bullshit each expansion before they started doing the Pathfinder where you had to buy all the different stuff. And you had to do this for all of your people. Like you had to buy cold weather flying on all of your alts or you were not flying in Northrend. Well, you don't have to worry about that. As long as you learn the level 60 expert riding, you'll be able to fly on any continent that does not have the Pathfinder achievement. Obviously, this doesn't count for Draenor. This doesn't count for Broken Isles or anything like that. You still have to have the Pathfinder to use those, but at least in the lower zones, you don't have to worry about buying your cold weather flying and paying. I want to say like Pandaland flying back then was like only 2K maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
But it was really expensive back then because gold was hard to come by for me. I hadn't learned how to auction house. I didn't know how to do any of those things back then. So gold was like, I was legit on the mailbox dancing in Stormwind trying to get my money to fly in Pandaland. That's not even a joke. Rem, you're laughing, but that was really a thing.
I know you're bottom bitch, Tails. It's okay.
Listen, by the by, that specific title is not a bad thing. That's actually like management position style. I don't know if any of you know Hotalk, right? I just want to tell you that I do happen to know Hotalk. I can't tell you the reasons I know it, and it's not because I personally, but yeah, that statement is not a bad statement. So when you call somebody a bottom bitch, you're not insulting them. You're basically telling them that they're like, that's like the dude's top chick. I'm just throwing that out
bottom?
there.
I don't know. It sounds like the
that
bottom
specific
of the
expression is a like women in that little life. It's a compliment to them. Like they covet that title. If you don't believe me, Google will tell you that I am absolutely factual about that. Just a little sidebar for those of you, if you were ever thinking about going into the hoe business.
Make sure you get one of those in your crew.
I know a guy. Anyway, about that flying. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this, which I wanted to give you guys all the information so that you had all that to have an informed decision. So let's talk about the implications of this change from both a new player perspective and an old player perspective. And Rem, we'll start with you. Tell me what you think about how this will affect new and old players in a leveling process.
I have no opinion either way.
God damn it.
Okay,
Gemma.
For those listening, that was a shot.
No, so it's great for both new and veteran players because one, for the new players, it's always so confusing. Even though they have a quest helper in game now, it's like not only confusing, but it's like you go from one area to the next area and they have the levels on the zones, but you still don't know exactly where to go. Like it usually shoves you to Westfall, and after that, it's kind of like, I don't know where to go. And finding the quest is kind of confusing because there's a lot of like hidden quests in Westfall, for instance, where it's like you have to find treasures and you go to this lighthouse and all that good stuff. And now where it has how Legion is, or has objectives in the map itself, and it shows you have like 0 of 5 in this area. So it's a lot of quality of life changes, and it makes it easier for veteran and new players in that regard. And the fact that you can go from like level 20 to whatever level it is in Duskwood and stuff like that. So I mean, it's making it more streamlined, but at the same time making it more easy to go about leveling, instead of like, for instance, map hopping. Like you would out level a zone like before you're even halfway through, whereas now you can stay in that zone, complete all the quests, get the full like ring the rag of that zone, and then move on, instead of going to Duskwood and then being like, okay, shit, I'm already like level 30, so let's go on to the next zone. But it's like 2 zones away and you have to go through some other shit to get to it. So it's really good. I like it.
I agree. I think it's good from a vet player that has new tendencies. And when I say new tendencies, I don't even know if that's the right term. But although I am a veteran player, there are a lot of things that I skipped because my end game is getting where I need to go. My name's Ricky Bobby, and I like to go fast. So there's a lot of story that I don't know or I missed that I would love to see on an alt by just staying in that area to level while I'm doing it, right?
Well, even without heirlooms, like you'd still kind of out level stuff just because of the way the old questing worked. And I bet a lot of the new players don't even know what goes on in Westfall and the Defias Brotherhood and stuff like that. So I mean, it's like little stuff like that would be missed. On that note about
I died a lot to the Defias Brotherhood, so I know.
Wow. Wow. Anyways, hiding your shame for you. Just kidding. But no, on that note of when they first nerfed the dungeon leveling, Like I'm guilty of that. Like I straight up took a healer or a tank and leveled all the way through dungeons. I didn't give a shit because I didn't want to do the map hopping. I didn't want to be like, oh, I got to go all the way up to Arathi, but I'm still in Stormwind. So
Because you
I
probably
don't.
weren't leveling to enjoy, right? You were leveling to get max level.
Yeah, I've gone through the story completely, like bajillion of times. So it's kind of like I don't want to have to go through everything again. Whereas now it's a little bit less. It's more tedious. Still, this is tedious, but it's easier since you can stay in that zone. So
I think they've done a good job with increasing the mob health and nerfing the heirlooms slightly. I think it gives a really good balance to players that are screaming for it to be streamlined, yet not like
monotonous, like not
you
like
could just do it with your eyes closed, and it's
Yeah.
just it's so super boring that you're one-shotting everything, you're just burning through, which I think is a good thing if you're trying to fast level. But if you're trying to fast level, then spend $60 in boosts. Like maybe this is not for you, right?
Well, it gives you a chance to get into your rotation too, right? So new players or people who play now say, "Oh, you didn't learn your character while you leveled, right?" So you're gonna probably need to learn to play your character a little better if everything's leveling with you.
I
That's
agree.
actually, yeah, I 100% agree with you. It sets them up for success instead of failure, where it's like, oh, the game's so easy, blah blah blah, and now it's like, oh, it actually scales with you. So
Now, Gemma, for you, I think this will be an interesting kind of like offset here, because where Rem and I, we super multi-alt. Like, we don't hide it. We're not ashamed. We super multi-alt. You kind of have your couple of alts, but that's not really what you spend your...
Yeah, I haven't been playing them, right?
You know, you don't... So I wonder for you, from an old player perspective, do you feel like this will give you some type of... Do you feel like this will make you want to level an alt or be a decider? Tell me how you feel.
Absolutely. Well, as soon as they showed it, I said I wanted to level, which is not something that you'd hear out of me very often at all, right? So you get to go through all of the... And that's what I feel like this change, I was going to mention, Rem was extremely right with the flow of the game for new players, right? And if it doesn't flow right for new players, then they're going to get disinterested because, the graphics in most of those old zones are probably not impressive at all to the new players. So I think of this change as bigger for us, the people that are the regulars, the people that have enjoyed things at max level. We get to go back and enjoy it. There's people that level all the time still, but for me, someone who doesn't level, I'm going to have a whole new level of enjoyment leveling up as well, with not only the new races, but the quest lines, maybe learning a little bit of the lore that I don't know, because you're right, I haven't leveled. Even my alts that I did have were max level in previous expansions a long time ago. So it's been a long time since I've done that 1 to 60 or 1 to 80 grind. And it was the same way Rem was saying with the dungeons and everything. So I feel like this change is bigger for... Actually, I don't know if that's true. As I say, it's bigger for us, but that's not true as well, because I said how important the flow is to the new players, because I'm sure if you ask a lot of the newer players, they're not going to... The ones that didn't continue playing, I bet some of their complaints were either the flow of the game or the zones, how Rem explained it, and the graphics are not good. So the game has to be fun for the new players. But I'm, personally excited for the lifers, the people who just continue to play the game.
A moment of thought for all of you, and for you two as well. What if in doing this, they're trying to promote both, right? I think Blizzard's idea, to us, we look at it like, this is like, fuck the new guys. This is what we needed to be able to, to play an alt and level it and not want to bang our heads against the keyboard or, feel so bored that we burn through 2 full shows on Netflix while we're leveling. I wonder what if there's a possibility with all of these changes, though we're not going to see it now. I would imagine if we were going to see it, I would think that we would see it in BFA. What if they plan on revamping old zones as far as the models go?
They almost have to.
I feel like that would be something that's on their agenda. Like I said, I don't think we would see it now. I think we would see it in BFA.
Well, with them kind of going back and actually doing everything that they're doing with the old, not only doing it with what they're doing with scaling and actually going back to the old world, it would be good for them to kind of update everything. Maybe not like the questing, but kind of like update all the models, make sure everything's just
not questing. I
date.
just mean visually, and because Gemma has a great point, and if other players have thought it, I know Blizzard has to have thought of. Well, the idea is yes, we want to keep our veterans still subbing, right? Because God forbid you can't transmog your fucking bronze tinted goggles and you're unsubbing over that one thing that was on the forums this week.
I was gonna say save them for forum fuckery.
That was actually like, it was an older forum, but oh god, and it wasn't even just one, it was several. But I feel like if we've thought of that as players, where I get nostalgic when I go back to the old zones, and I remember exactly how I felt in a zone when I was really little. And when I say little, I mean little as a player. I didn't know anything. This was back when, as a destruction warlock, you hit shit with sticks. Like, it was just a bad time. Like, you were wearing some ugly white drab cloth piece that you got off a random mob, because I didn't know how to do anything back then. I didn't have friends. I didn't have a guild. I didn't have any of those things back then. But I remember stepping into certain zones like Duskwood and how I felt, and when I would die because I didn't know how to handle more than one NPC at a time. I wonder... I like that feeling, but visually it's ugly. It's nostalgic to me, but if I'm, like Gemma said, if I'm a new player, it's super ugly. Like, it's not anything.
I've had people quit and tell me that that's one of the reasons why they quit, because of the visuals. It's just
nobody wants that.
I mean, when you're flying up above like Elwyn Forest or Duskwood, like you look down at the trees, it's like, oh my god, it still looks like that.
The trees are so ugly. They're
They really
so
are.
ugly.
But we know what we get at endgame, so another reason why we stay there. When I said they almost had to, maybe I should back up.
But
They
for
don't
new
have
people.
to, but I don't want it to take away too much of what they're doing endgame and the new expansions and everything. But
it won't.
At some right, so if it won't, at some point they and I say it again, they almost have to, because I know they don't share the numbers with us, but I'd be curious on how many new players play it and try it and then stop. And it could be different if those new players have a friend like one of us, but me stepping into the Warcraft world who wasn't used to the PC world, like, it's a whole different ball game, just game style wise.
We're in the age of Skyrim and all these things that are just visually very advanced, and Warcraft is not visually advanced in that nature, and it shouldn't be, really, because it's a different type of game, and I don't want it to look like... I've had people say, God, I wish they would do it like EverQuest or all the million other whatever bullshits that are out. And I always think, but then it wouldn't be World of Warcraft, and it wouldn't be like... I like the cartoony type of vibe that it has, but I do agree that new players in today's world, 2017 going into 2018, it's a different type of gamer, and I agree. I don't think that they would be into sticking around if they didn't have a friend, or if they just thought, oh, I'll just try it out because I watched the movie, or Blizzard's really on it with their advertisements or whatever. I do agree. I think that visually they would be missing an opportunity there if they didn't take this next expansion's development time and just do it all at the same time. I mean, they might as well.
Well, yeah, for me personally, like, I prefer the art style of Warcraft, and I mean, if you know what to look for, it is extremely visually appealing. So I mean, it's not that it's bad graphics; it's just a different art style. But on a side note, with them scaling, what are your thoughts on with Stone and his WoW challenges?
So
I got to see him, sorry to cut you off, right after they announced it, and he was super excited.
I think it gives them... What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say more purpose, but like... At first, I thought he was going to react super negative to it. I thought he was going to kind of freak out.
I thought he'd be a little more frustrated,
But the thing about it is they don't use heirlooms, so that wasn't going to matter. I don't know if there's flying. I mean, there's several different tiers of Iron Man, so it's not just, you're straight. There's like the pacifist. There's a few different levels where maybe one you can use a mount or whatever. And even the rules have evolved because the game has evolved. So when they took away the guild perk for the experience, you previously, when you were an Iron Man, you weren't allowed to be in a guild because that experience buff. now, because of the culture and the way that things evolved, and Blizzard has decided that guilds are not as important as they should be, they've taken those things from guilds, thus making it better for Iron Man in the long run, because then they can be in a guild and they can socialize instead of feeling so lonely, which I think is great. I think anything that gets people leveling, especially if we're on this classic kick, everybody wants to, you know, the Project 60, Project 70, Project whatever, I think that it puts people like Stone and his community who do this all the time, not when it's the hot ticket item or not because all the streamers are doing it or whatever, like he does this every day. Now his world, I'm hoping that that'll just open more doors for him, for his community, where people will want to kind of join in, especially with the level scaling. I don't know. I know that it's good for them, but I don't know if it means the same thing. Like, is the Iron Man achievement still great with the level scaling?
I think it'd be more impressive, actually.
Do you think so? Okay.
Because generally in that scenario, you would like out-level a little area just a little bit so that it would be easier to kill the mobs around the zone. So, I mean, now it's more of just everything is either at your level or like half of a level behind you. So it's...
Well, I pictured someone just killing mobs because they kind of casually, because I thought the same thing. Like you could literally just kind of kill mobs in certain zones. Of course, with the level being longer and further in between, that might not be efficient because obviously you still want to quest, you still want to level. But he was super excited when he said, he goes, stupid Burning Crusade. Like he gets to like pass that or not worry about that as much, I guess.
That's valid. Yeah.
They said you could go to Northrend, right? So that was cool.
Yeah, Hellfire shit pencil.
Well, and I think one of the other, and then we'll close out this topic so we can move on, but I do think that one of the other things here is the ability to decide. And I think that that's really important. And one of those big decisions back then for me was choosing Vashir or not choosing Vashir.
Obviously, Vashir is the right answer. So
with Bell, I chose Vashir, and it was an awful business. It was an awful business. I was dead every 5 seconds. I didn't understand anything going on under the fucking sea. It took me like 2 months in Vashir before I realized that the color of the little floaty things was different if there was a cave behind it, right? Those kind of things I didn't know right away, guys. It was it took me a long time to realize that. I did not know that. It wasn't until an alt that I had brought through Vashir that I actually figured that out. I'm like, hey, these are yellow every time there's a cave. Maybe that's where the cave is. But I think that the biggest thing here is choice. I think giving the player the choice on where they want to go. You have these boards that are giving them the options to choose different places. Especially, I can't believe I'm saying this, guys, from an RP perspective. From an RP perspective, there's a lot of serious RPers. I feel like if they're on an ult and they've created this type of, you know, everything is very RP when it comes to their character and they don't do anything that's out of character and, you know, they stick to that path. I think being able to choose where you level will help them live in that fantasy with the RP world that they're creating. I can't believe that I would ever consider that as an option or as a thing for the RP community, because I typically don't think about that. And it's not because I don't like them, it's because I'm not them. So it's not something that's kind of, it's kind of not, you know, it wasn't anything that I would think about. But I do think that it just kind of helps on multiple levels. As long as they keep it balanced and they make it where it's equally hard and streamlined, right? I think we can have both. We don't have to make a choice. We don't have to choose between the two. I think we can have both. So that's my opinion.
So we can have our cake and eat it too.
Cake eater.
Yeah.
Don't read chat, guys.
Cake eater. I mean, there isn't much going on. We kind of ignore chat. I apologize if you're watching. We're just doing a test run for live, and I've instructed them to ignore chat because they pay too much attention to chat. Anyway.
She's the one that's paying.
No, I only do it when you guys are talking. I still handle my business, okay? Now, let's move on to a couple things. The Dalaran mailroom situation. I sent a PTR trying to farm this piece of mail. For those of you who don't know what this is in PTR, outside of any mailbox in Dalaran, there's an item called a lost piece of mail that's on the ground. You pick it up. This takes you to a series of quests. You have to go to the mailroom, which the mailroom is by the pet cemetery. I didn't even know there was a pet cemetery in Dalaran. Guys.
It's sad.
Guys. Earlier, I was like, wait, there's a pet cemetery? I went and checked it out. It was really sad. There's like a little red collar on top of one of the little tombstones. It's really, really sad that people's pets are buried.
Rachel!
Yeah, that's just, it's super creepy. But this sends you on a series of pretty awesome solo stuff. This is completely solo. I'm not going to ruin a ton of it. I'm going to show you some screenshots. I'm not going to ruin a ton of the stuff. But I just wanted to tell you some of the information. So on your quest that it takes you to, you will get, it's the second you click on it, it puts the letter in your bag. It also, I don't know if it mails you the letter or if it, I don't know how that works, but you can send that letter to someone else so they could get it. If I understand the process. I tried to go through the process myself, but I couldn't. But it takes you to the mailroom, which I'm going to show you guys these beautiful pictures that I have here. So inside this mailroom, you're going to do, I don't know how many total quests there are, but there's all kinds of stuff that it takes you through in this mailroom. You get to do like, there's this one quest called Huge Package, which I giggled for like 20 minutes. Guys, I'm not mature. I don't claim to be. It is what it is. And obviously, as you see here, he's carrying a giant sack of mail. And you have to go through, you'll help sort mail. This is actually my favorite thing that I saw in this video from one of the, I don't remember who it was that went in and did this, but it was on Wowhead's website. So this, as you see with this like extra action button here, you have to sort the mail. So the mail's broke down into zones, and then it'll give you a place, like right here you have, you know, wetlands, and you have to make sure you put it into the right little continent tube here. But this I thought was pretty cool. And you have to do, this is a repeatable type of like mini game that you can repeat. And you go through the series of stuff. And basically, what ends up happening is the idea behind this is you're helping people find their lost mail. Like you're returning lost mail to people. You're helping the postmaster. You get a title. I think it's called the postmaster. Now, let me tell you, it's kind of a little fucked up. A couple of the things that you'll return is like the Invincible. You have a letter where you have to deliver the Invincible to somebody who it got lost in delivery. Nothing sucks like you being that one person that's been farming this mount and you have to go deliver it in a quest to someone else versus keeping it, which is kind of, I think that just shows Blizzard's twisted sense of humor. Now there's a mount, toys, a pet, which Jim is going to tell you about that. Guys, what do you think about this mail situation? Are you guys in to be postmasters? Are you gonna be like a postmaster general? Jim, I can totally see you in the full outfit, like hat, maybe like the whistle. I don't know what postmasters carry in your neck of the woods, but I picture it like old school, where they like have the mail in the basket.
Well, they have a dog sled, so I mean, you gotta be
right. Like I feel like, is that what happens, Gemma, in Canadian land?
Canada? No, I'm just trying to get over the whistle. I'm trying.
Well, because you guys are nice people, so I don't imagine, like, yeah, I don't imagine that anybody's gonna be like, you're not gonna be mean postmasters. I picture your guys' post office people, like your mail carriers are like super nice. Maybe they carry cookies and treats for the kids, and like, I don't know if that's accurate, but I feel like it is.
They get chased around by dogs just like your American ones. I think it's going to be harder than you think. I think the trivia part at the end is going to be tough. Not super tough, but it's like it's going to tell you quickly like the zone, and you got to pick one of the 8 spots to send it to or whatever, like Eastern Kingdoms or Outland. So I feel like there's going to be a lot. I can see you yelling, screaming Belle at trying to unlock. I feel like I'm going to get frustrated with it. It's 30 right in 60 seconds is one every 2 seconds. Like that's quick, rapid fire.
Holy shit! Did you have an energy drink before the show? You just did math without a calculator.
Oh my God. That wasn't tough. I followed Bedmiss. I'm okay.
Guys, you're witnessing this, and for those of you that are watching live, there isn't many because we didn't really announce it on purpose, just because we were doing a test stream. But you guys just witnessed like a monumental moment in Pwnecast history. Who
First I
are
figured out
you?
Gravity, and then I did math.
Like, he just totally did math without a calculator. He didn't have to think about it. He was like Johnny Mnemonic. Jim, I'm super impressed.
I did it pre-show.
Oh, you son of a bitch. You should have just went.
It's not crazy math, but it's cool. To your point, it's a cool little quest line. At first, I'm like, this is silly, and then it's really cool. I like it. It looks like a.
And it takes you several places now. I'll do it just because it looks cool, and like the very first part, you have to like click all the mail that's in the air, which I think is kind of cool. And I like the idea of like throwing. I could see myself just like chilling in the mailroom, just constantly repeating this mini game quest. I think it's pretty neat, and I'm in, guys. I'm sold. Like, you don't got to sell me. I'm sold. We're good.
It's just nice to see the behind-the-scenes work that the Blizzard people are doing to deliver our mail.
I know.
Yeah, they absolutely do this at HQ.
Right.
I didn't even know that there was a mailroom in Dalaran.
Well, I don't think there is. I think they added it.
Oh, they just invented it. They were like, here, it's this thing that's instanced.
Yeah, for the quest.
It's pretty cool, though.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
Now, a couple quick things to go through, because I definitely feel like I don't want to miss this stuff. Also, sidebar, data mined and encrypted dog mount. I put that in quotes because that's what it says, dog mount. When stuff like that is encrypted, it's either one of two things. It's either a promotion, something they're going to sell in the store, or it's linked to an expansion. This could be the groundwork for maybe either a store pet, or it could be like for purchasing the digital deluxe, you know, whatever. We don't really know what it's from, but though when they're encrypted like that, it's typically because it's due to a promotion. So those type of promotions are either the store mount or linked to an expansion and a promotional purpose, not like, it could also be like a dwarf mount or some weird shit. I don't know, but it does say dog mount, guys.
That better not be the mount we get for the collector's edition.
Yeah, no, if it's the mount they have in the model viewer, then I don't think it's gonna be.
No, that mount in the model viewer is not the mount. That is a placeholder.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So
okay.
when they're encrypted, you can't see them. The only thing they could do is see the armor that they're wearing and the stances that they have. They don't. When they're encrypted, that means Blizzard's like, "Hi, you're not data mining this. You can basically shove off." Now, what kind of dog do you guys think it is? Corgi?
Hope not.
A Great Dane.
Why?
Because it actually looks like a mount.
Okay, so if you both could each pick the dog that you would want it to be, that you would want to ride on a dog, which I think it's weird writing on dogs anyway. I'm not judging anybody that wants to ride on a dog. I'll probably ride on a dog. I ride on a fox, so I'm not really judging. I ride on a person, technically, with the Gromling mount. Like, I'm riding on an actual physical, like, it doesn't look like a human, but it has humanistic features, and that's kind of just strange in itself. I feel like I should give him $1 every time I'm on his back. Anyway.
Got you $1.
What kind of dog would you choose, Rem?
I can't choose one, so I'm just going to say St. Bernard or a Malamute.
Wrong.
Gemma?
It should be a big old fat bulldog. You should be rolling around on a chubby bulldog in a variety of different colors.
I agree. Although I do think it would be quite humorous if it's like a huge giant dog that maybe we've never seen before, and then like you have like a little gnome who's just like chilling on this giant dog. I always love it when gnomes are big mounts.
Backwards, and it's like the Magic Rooster mount, and it's really, really small dog.
Weird to see giant fat characters like the Draenei or the Taurens riding those poor tiny chickens.
The goats, they are really scaled pretty small, so yeah.
Or they'll just reskin the corgi. Like, I wasn't hating on corgis. It's just we got so many pet corgis, we didn't need a corgi mount, but watch it just be a corgi.
Blizzard's obsession with corgis is real.
Well, it's because they have half of the people there have their dogs at the office, so
yeah, they have freaking dog day like once a month, and you can just bring your dog to work. I would not want to bring any of my animals to work. I can't.
That's what was trippy about headquarters.
I mean, you do keep your dogs at work.
Technically, because I work from home, but like.
But I can't imagine Kira sitting inside of an office. Oh my god.
But all those Doge, remember when those Doge memes, the dog memes, were like on fire for the Warcraft world?
The what memes?
He was being French fancy, okay? Doge.
They had a bunch of those at headquarters the one time I got to go. They were just like walking in the front. And maybe it was dog day. I was like, I didn't know they had dog day. But
when I went to headquarters, I saw a tiny husky. Like, when I say a tiny husky, I don't mean a baby husky. I mean like a midget. It was like a dwarf husky.
Really?
It never gets like more than this big, but it's like, it looks like Kira, except it was like tiny. I tried to steal it, but he was like, no, you can't have my dog. I guess you kind of don't want to do that. Okay, moving on.
Well, I'm glad I'm glad you explained that it might not be, that's just like the outline model. Cause I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, no, they don't know what it looks like. Wowhead has like a description of like what the files say for like the armor and stuff like that. But no, that is definitely not what it looks like. And
I mean,
it could be a store mount. We don't know.
Hey, they say Robo Bulldog, Robo Doberman. Maybe it's a Doberman and a Bulldog for real.
It would have to be a big dog. So we will follow up. We'll see. I mean, obviously, since it's encrypted, Blizzard's like, nah, you're not going to know anything about that. But we know that a dog is coming, so you might as well just tell us, Blizzard, because even though it's encrypted, like, we know it's on the way. You're not hiding anything.
Imagine a cat mount.
Cats would be weird. Maybe like a lion.
Well, we have
a
those,
lion.
like a house cat. Like
I'm
your
talking
cat.
like a lion without a mane, like a female lion.
That would be weird.
Would it though? Well, I mean, I
Not
guess we
really.
kind of have that in a version, I guess. Never mind, that was stupid. Guys, just ignore me. That was not a good suggestion. That was not on my top 10 list of good things to suggest.
It wasn't our worst.
Yeah, that would just be like the leopard, not
Or
the
the
leopard.
saber tooth, or like the 20
Yeah.
other different large cat mounts. I don't know what I was thinking there, but it clearly, maybe I meant leopard. I don't know.
Meow.
Ulduar time walking. Now, Ulduar itself, there are some changes that were data mined that are happening to what? What?
I don't know. He can't control himself because we're live.
What is so funny? Let me stop the presses so you can tell me what's funny. What did I?
Probably the tongue twisters, or
Do I got a
me
booger in my
meow.
nose?
No, he said meow, and it might be something from the show. That's not
Oh,
appropriate.
I was like, did I do something? Okay. Ulduar time walking got some changes, and I think that these are interesting changes. Ulduar itself will no longer have 2 difficulties. Instead, they will have just one, which is normal difficulty. So no more 10, no more 25, man. Just normal difficulty.
Have they spoken on items?
Yes.
Okay.
So the 10 and 25 man gear will both drop from normal. So they're like converging. Like, you know what I'm
Just
saying?
packing it all in.
Yeah. So
okay.
like what I'm assuming when they mean that is I because I haven't checked it out, so I don't really know. My assumption there is that if there's different color skins, like if it's just like a reskin or whatever, those will both be in there, but the item level will be whatever it is for normal for them. So yes, that will be there. Ulduar loot will be 930 item level for time walking. That'll be what drops for time walking. Now, the biggest part here, outside of it being exciting that we get to do Ulduar in a time walking setting, especially because Mimron's head and like all of those things that you get to farm while doing that week, the best part here is the glory of the Ulduar Raider is no longer 1025 man. It is just a condensed glory of the Ulduar Raider. When you do that, it means you get the reward for both. So when you do the glory of the Ulduar Raider, you get the rusted and the ironbound proto drake. I, for one, think that's great. I love that I like what they're doing, that they're removing that complication. However, I have a little bit of a gripe. And my gripe is I had to work really hard.
I was going to say that.
Oh my god.
I had to work really hard to get the ironbound, okay? It took me 2 different weeks. I had to do 2 weeks of it, and I had to...
Oh, 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, what level were you, Belle? What level was it? Was it really tough?
I don't know, but the problem is we didn't have enough people to do the stupid Iron Dwarf part. That was the only part that was tough, was the Iron Dwarf part. Listen.
I was gonna make a voice and say that complaint, and you did it.
I'm a little, it hurt my feelings a little bit, but I think that it's great for people that haven't gotten it. Personally, those versions of the Proto Drake, that model, is my favorite.
Agreed.
Of all of the drakes, like, the other drakes, I don't actually like. The Violet Drake, like those, like not the Violet Proto Drake, but the Violet Drake, the Blue Drake, the Black Drake, the Red Drake, the Brown Drake, like all those drakes, I actually don't like any of them. The Proto Drake is the model I like. I like that visual. But at least they'll get both of them, and I think it's good that it condenses it into one. It makes sense that it should, especially since Draenor and Legion had, you know, just glory of the Raider because there wasn't 2 difficulties.
Yeah, that might show that they're doing that for every old raid, maybe. Kind of condensing it and making it time walking. So that'd be kind of cool.
And using the time walking as a means to do it, I think, is smart because they're already doing stuff in there. They might as well just revamp it while they're at it.
You should get all your little buddies that feel the same way and create a forum.
No, I don't feel strongly enough about it to have a forum. I remember how I felt trying to get it, and I'm not saying I don't want them to make it easy for people,
right?
But I love the feeling of getting it and how good it felt.
Yeah, the Chivos pop. Yeah, you weren't unreasonable with your small complaint. I'm excited to do the raid at so-called max level. Like
when it's at level, it's more fun in my opinion.
Yeah.
I love the Ulduar.
Well, my first raiding experiences at max level was Nax before it, and then I kind of skipped Ulduar and then Lich King, so I didn't get to do a lot of Ulduar at max level. So it's going to be fun.
Oh,
I didn't do any Ulduar because I didn't have friends back then, but.
Right, you do now. You got a whole guild.
I didn't get to do it at level because back then, before Group Finder, if you didn't have friends or you weren't in a guild,
it was tough.
I didn't have friends, but I had a guild.
Yeah, nobody would take you anywhere. I didn't even know what a dungeon or a raid was. I was like, huh?
Well, to that point, the only reason why I was able to get into Nax and got carried was my buddy had his own raiding guild, and that's who showed me the ropes for max level stuff. So you do need those friends. Similar to what we said about the leveling experience, right? If people are coming into the game without friends, a lot of them phase out. I would think a higher percentage anyway.
You're right. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Also, really quickly, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I don't really care. The selfie camera is getting a lens upgrade.
What? That's amazing.
Woo!
Yeah, you'll have a new quest. It'll be in your faction's capital city. If you have never gotten your camera, so let's pretend that you're brand new and you didn't do your selfie camera in Draenor, you'll get that first quest to get because you have to have the original camera first. If you lost your camera, meaning you deleted it out of your bags or it becomes a toy.
Yeah, it's in your collections.
But I think you have to do something for it to be the toy. I don't really know, but it was stated that you can click, I lost my selfie camera, and they'll give you a new one. But if you haven't completed it, you do need to do that. There's a new quest that basically involves you going to kill a certain basilisk, and you retrieve a crystal from them. That turns it into your fancy schmancy lens. And with that, it upgrades your camera. You'll get the old filters that were on it, and then you'll get the new ones. Now, there's also going to be filters that you can collect, which most likely is going to be very similar to when we got the jukebox in our garrisons, where you had to do certain things to get the music scrolls, right? You'll be able to collect those filters. Now, here's the filters that they have data mined so far, just to kind of give you an idea. Obviously, it's a selfie camera, and a lot of people don't really care about that, but some people do.
That was the best patch in WoD. Okay,
right? It really was. Honestly, though, the addition to that was life-changing for that content. There's a Firelands filter viewing the Fireland sky, Frostmourne filter viewing the souls trapped within Frostmourne, Shaw filter viewing the sky while under the Shaw influence, Twilight filter viewing the Twilight realm, and then the Argus filter viewing Argus in the sky. That's the only reason why I wanted to talk about the selfie camera, is because I will be doing it just for those filters. I would love to have Belle take a selfie with those filters because it's very nostalgic and reminiscent, and
It'll be nice not to have to go to the area to get the shot.
Which, guys, in this day and age, we Photoshop ourselves on the beach, okay? We don't ever go anywhere in real life as gamers.
Who is
okay?
we?
Well, I do. I don't ever leave the house, so. All right, real quickly. The Nighthold in Suramar City is going to be uninstanced. Now.
# not fan favorite.
I don't think this is going to be for the patch. I think this is going to be either pre-expansion or expansion. I don't actually know. I tried to look into it, but I got stuck doing all the other stuff and making sure. However, the only thing that you need to know is it's going to be uninstanced. Okay? Why does this matter to Belle? Because it's # fan favorite. But why does this matter to Belle? This matters to Belle because although it's not all of Suramar City, I would like, you know, all the inner parts of Suramar City to be friendly to me, where I don't have to be an illusion and what am I hiding, or something's not quite right. Like, I would like to just be able to free roam through that city and hang out in the menagerie and not have to worry about aggroing things. But I wanted to show you guys these uninstanced, did I say that right? Uninstanced Nighthold pictures. Now, while I'm showing you guys these beautiful pictures for those of you that are watching, flashback to when I had to dive bomb with my glider before we got flying to try to fly into the Nighthold so that I could see this beautiful courtyard area. Then I realized that it's full of mobs and had to try to run out, and I died several times. It took me. But all the NPCs are friendly. Now, something to note, we are going to go through this on Horde side to gain them as an ally. Obviously, we talked about that. We talked about that when we talked about the expansion episode. But currently in PTR, I did lie. It is current. It is going to be with the patch, because in PTR they are friendly. I forgot about that. I got a lot of confusion going on because there's a lot of stuff that's been data mined versus what is actually in there. But yes, currently in PTR, both Alliance and Horde are friendly to the NPCs in the Nighthold. Interestingly enough, I don't know if like you had to have cleared Nighthold. I don't know if there was any prerequisites. I haven't looked into it that much. I plan on doing that full spiel through PTR, but I just wanted to note because it's my favorite zone. Now, the very last part of this is going to be the Stormwind and Orgrimmar embassies. I think the red shirt guy had like called this before it was even a thing. I think I want to say there was pictures that happened at BlizzCon at one of the panels, and he immediately got on and was like, I think these are going to be embassies, which makes sense because if we're gaining, as Horde and Alliance, we're bringing different factions as our allies. It makes sense that we would have an embassy pretty similar to how we have, you know, it mimics real life, where if you're, you know, if I go to Canada land, I think there might be an American embassy. I don't really know how that works, but I feel like those are things. So I have right here, this is going to be the location of the Stormwind Embassy, which is pretty awesome. For those of you that are listening, it's basically to the upright part of Stormwind Harbor. This is what the embassy looks like. Pretty cool. It's not very like big, but whatever. Then the Orgrimmar Embassy is down on the bottom left here, below the Valley of Spirits. And there's their embassy, which looks like everything Horde related, same as Alliance. They don't ever change that stuff too much. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Basically, there's notable NPCs for both Horde and Alliance inside those zones. I'm not going to give you any of those things, so I'll just let you figure that out for yourselves. Just because it's NPCs and I don't know who cares about what. But I thought it was pretty cool. Now, something that I wanted to end on when it comes to that is Ian had said that Rathian was seen at the Stormwind Embassy at BlizzCon in one of the pictures. However, these pictures and PTR does not reflect Rathian being anywhere in the vicinity of the Stormwind Embassy. So I wanted to ask you, Rem, what does it all mean, Basil?
It means he was removed. I mean, the fuck? So, yeah, no, when he was on the floor for the demo, he went to Stormwind and the embassies were in the game, and so he saw Rathian in there during the demo. PTR comes live, they removed it. So I'm thinking he's either A, going to come in later, maybe ties into new allied races, or just spews some of his more of his bullshit. Excuse the language, not sorry. But I think they want him to be there, but they added him too early, and someone found out, and like, oh no, we need to.
Well, because they showed the expansion embassy, they didn't show PTR or 7.3.5. They were showing.
Yeah, it was like
the expansion
build
version.
Yeah. So I think it was something that was not only spoilery, but something they weren't ready to tell us, and so they're like, oh shit, let's remove it.
I'm excited because I'm excited what that means, because I'm ready to fight this son of a bitch, because I'm still angry about Admiral Taylor's garrison.
Well, on that note, Admiral Taylor, the thing that's interesting, he wasn't over in the Orgrimmar embassy. He was only in the Stormwind one.
Well, he was Alliance, though. Isn't Admiral Taylor Alliance?
Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Rathian was at the Stormwind embassy,
Right.
not the Orgrimmar one, and he's always been playing on both sides. So
I'm ready to avenge Admiral Taylor and all of his people. They even killed the maid. Everybody was dead. Everybody. Even the dog was dead. Was the dog dead? I feel like we cleaned up the dog's poop there.
I don't remember. I,
feel like
think you're just making.
I'm
stuff
still
up.
bitter.
Job.
Yeah, like I'm bitter about that. I'm angry.
You'll get your chance.
I'm angry, guys. Angry.
Always.
Business as usual.
Okay. So the last item on the agenda is the Oona scenario. But we're not really going to talk about that because we're not really ready. We don't really know a whole lot about that. Unless Jimma knows a whole lot about that. I know they added stuff, but maybe you could
elaborate. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you know as much as I do.
Listen.
Discussed it a little bit. I actually didn't realize Oona was obtainable, right? So you can get the companion pet now, right? You just collect the 3 bones in 3 different locations and then place them and kill the many-faced devourer, and you get like a 4% chance that it drops. But what Belle's referring to is there's some things that have been data mined, like dialogue and spells, and it looks like we could be helping Oona out in some sort of a solo scenario. It's not confirmed, but something similar to Death of Chromie. So there's like a new data, there's some data mine spells as well, like a Oona trigger or a Oona light beam. So maybe Oona pops off and helps us kill someone important, but we really don't know at this point. So it'd be cool to find that out in the next couple weeks. I don't know.
Just remember, if you have 1 card left, yell Uno. So in that scenario, just be careful.
Too bad. I'll make you pick
the
up 4
thing
before.
to summon the shackled Urzul or whatever. I have that thing in my bag.
It.
So let's go kill some shit this weekend, guys.
I was
Let's
gonna
go
say
do
invite
it.
me to a group.
Yeah, like I've got it. I didn't know what it was. I knew what it was because we had talked about it, but looking in my bag, I didn't make the connection.
Well, and I looked up, like I said, I didn't realize, and you told me that, no, Yuna's already in the game, right? Because I watched the video of how to get it, right? So now that I know, yeah, let's do it so I don't have to collect them bones.
Yeah, there was not, I don't want to say theories, but there was spoiler text from the those that acquired her in PTR, or Wowheads, pulling the conversations or whatever, but essentially she's linked to that guy. Like she's linked to the shackled Urzul in some weird, like, body, mind meldy, all up in my nostrils type of situation. So
stuff we might not be ready for, but
yeah, it seems super dark, so I'm kind of a little scared about that. And I want to say on this final thing, and then we're going to move on to Jimma's segment, is I was doing my normal forum work this week. One of the forum topics I really, really liked, and this isn't part of forum fuckery, this is just something that I wanted to just put that out there in the world to see what everybody else thought. And this is going to be my content ending question. I always ask a question at the end of the content before we do segments to those that are listening or watching, for you to comment on the YouTube channel or send me an email. The topic of discussion is basically queuing for LFR and getting into like a 2nd or 3rd boss clear. Depending on what you're queuing for, especially if it's broke up into wings, right? You only need, you need all the bosses, but it queues you in on the 2nd or 3rd boss. This is extremely frustrating to people. And it's been something that we've just kind of dealt with, right? It's just one of those things where we know if the queue pop was super fast and we're DPS, that we're going to zone in, and it's either going to be they just killed the boss or they just wiped 12 fucking times with however many stacks of determination on some bullshit and you're seeing a bunch of dead bones or whatever. However, somebody on these forums had said, what about an option for a fresh queue when you queue? Sometimes you just want to go in and do the thing. Maybe you don't care if you kill the first 2 bosses. And maybe sometimes it matters because who wants to re-queue for that same thing just to kill the first 2 bosses? Then what happens is we have to leave. I'm not going to stay there for the bosses I've already killed. I'm leaving. Then that's when other people get pulled into that instance because people have left. But this person had said, what about the option for a fresh queue? So I'm putting it to you guys to see what you guys think about that option. and if we should continue to push the issue on the forums, because I do think they would have the ability to be able to do that where you just had a choice when you queued. But I also wanted to make sure, do you think we're asking for too much? Do you think we're being too specific? Like, what do you two think?
I don't have an opinion either way. Just joking. That was a shot at those two. No, that's something I've never thought that we needed. Obviously, I think that's, like you said, it's frustrating when you're not doing that. So I agree we could use it.
I don't care. It's irrelevant. It's, you just deal with it.
That's
Just
my point.
deal with it.
That's my point. Should we continue to just, is it one of those things where it's just collateral damage or it's just part of the game where we just know? Or do we lobby for change to get some type of improvement? Now I'm going to play devil's advocate. So you are a single man with no children and no wife or husband. I'm not judging. You only have yourself to deal with. So when you want to play video games, you can jump on there and you can re-queue for the same wing of LFR twice because you queued into the third boss. Yeah, you can do that. I cannot. I'm lucky to get the first queue in, if that's even possible, because you can't pause WoW, guys. I have children, I have dogs, I have a husband, I have Facebook Messenger and tweets and Discord. I have all these things.
Sounds like a personal issue.
It is 100%. You are 150. I know you're trolling, but it's 150% accurate. It is a personal issue, but it does matter. So my question to those of you listening or watching, comment on the YouTube channel. Make sure you leave a comment below. If you're listening to this on iTunes or one of the other million places I've got us, I just added us to Spotify and iHeartRadio. Like, we're everywhere, guys. We're like herp. We're like the herp. The good herp, though, not the bad herp.
You need to think of some other comparisons. You need to think of some other things we're good like.
The herp is like the perfect thing, though, like the herp.
To keep us single. And
but I want to know what you guys
spread
think.
Like the clap.
And let's just say that you feel non-committal about it. It doesn't affect you one way or the other. Like my good buddy Rem here, it doesn't really bother Rem. I want to know what you guys think. And should we try to lobby for change or, you know, anything like that? Or should we just deal with it as players? It doesn't really bother me one way or the other, but I do like the idea. I thought that person's idea of what if we had the option to click a button to say, I only want to be put in a fresh queue. If that means I have to sit here for an hour and a half in queue because they only throw you in those queues so that you're not in, you know, if that means I have to sit for an hour and a half in queue to get a fresh clear. I know it defeats the purpose, Rem. I know it defeats the purpose. I'm not saying I would sit there for an hour and a half.
Have a system to help that. If you're going to sit in a queue for an hour and a half, you're going to waste more time killing that last boss.
I'm just saying I'll take a little bit of extended queue time versus having to queue with another group that may or may not kill the boss. Guys, LFR, we're not running with the best of the best there, okay? I'm just throwing that out there. We go in there with the thought process in mind that it's going to be an instant kill. And sometimes it's not that way. I have the worst luck in LFRs. I always get the shit LFRs.
Because you don't queue with me. I get good luck with them. It's not that I'm saying I'm a good player. I just get good luck with them.
I'm ready for some pet battle information, Gemma.
Yeah,
I didn't read anything pet battle related in the patch, so everything you're telling me is brand new.
Bam. Well, the good news is we've got lots of news, right? We're getting a lot of, actually 10 new fun achievements, and completing all of these achievements will unlock the Family Brawler achievement, which will unlock, we believe, our Master Trainer's Tabard. That's right, pet people. We're going to get our own tabard finally to go with our slick and cool looking titles and our little safari hat.
You're getting a tabard?
We're getting a tabard. I was going to troll the internet.
I wish I would have known. I would have pulled the tabard for the visuals. I knew because I saw your show notes, but I didn't think about it. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to be so sorry, honorary Canadian. I was actually going to message you, and I thought,
is that your first tabard ever for pet battling?
Yeah, it's our first tabard. Wow. It's going to be great. Yeah, it's just so you got the visual. It's like a little nice brown color, and then it's got the pet paw print, so it looks very sleek and cool, I guess. I don't know. It is cool. Yeah, I thought when you actually tweeted me the changes last week, I got super hyped because it was really cool. Now, the 10 new fun achievements for those people listening are to test your PvP pet battle skills. You must win 10 PvP pet battles with a team of all level 25s, of course, with only one family. So the mechanical brawlers win 10 PvP pet battles with all mechanical pets. Then you've got the aquatic brawler, beast brawler, elemental brawler, etc. So speaking of things I think Blizzard could or should or need to fix, is players should not be allowed to queue with the same pet twice or 3 times on the team. It might not be a big deal. I feel like it's a bigger deal than the LFR changes we just requested, because nothing else will turn off or this will turn newer players off if they're going against, excuse me, 3 Terraclaw hatchlings, right? It's a little overpowered. It just shouldn't be allowed. Same with 3 mechanical Pandaren Dragonlings. I just feel like it shouldn't be allowed. Now, of course, more skilled players can get over it, but I really think it just hurts the average player doing PvP pet battles. That being said, it's a good time to practice your PvP pet battles. I'm going to enjoy getting these achievements, maybe set up some sort of stream. I think those will be some of the easiest content for me to stream, and I'll kind of, flex some of my PvP pet battle skills, or you'll kind of see my thought process as I build these different teams. Now, that being said, going for this achievement, or there's, going to be a lot of people, or more people trying to get these new achievements, right? So this will allow you to try to get one of the hardest pet battle achievements, No Time to Heal. Now, you've got to win 5 PvP pet battles in a row without having any of your pets dying. So you could take the opposite approach and use your more powerful team and try to just destroy all these people trying to have fun and get their wins, right? Because they're going to be, trying to knock off these different achievements. So yeah, again, Blizzard, maybe it's not, maybe I'm overreacting. This is something that I've thought for a long time. I just feel it's unnecessary. The pet should be, I guess, unique in the sense that you just can't rock 2 of them on your team. But overall, I'm very pleased with a lot of the changes. Even just continuing Oona's story, which is really cool. We discussed the male elemental pet. That's the pet that you get for finishing off the, what is that called again? The mailroom.
Oh, it's like the Dalaran mailroom like scenario quest.
Yeah, I had it somewhere, but there's just too many letters everywhere. But yeah, once you complete that quest, you get your mail elemental, which I thought was pretty neat. Kind of, it's just like a funny take on elemental. But I'm telling you, I don't think that achievement for that mailroom is going to be that easy. There's 2 final achievements before you unlock your pet, and that was what I was saying, is you've got to sort the mail fast. Like, this is important. People need their lost mail. Like, this isn't just some game. So you've got to send these mail things to Kalimdor, Eastern Kingdoms, Northrend, Outland, Pandaria, Broken Isles, right? So it's really like, it'll say Grizzly Hills, and you gotta select Northrend really quick, or Ashenvale, and you got to click Kalimdor. So the first one is get 15 in 60 seconds, but that last one before you get your pet is 30 in 60 seconds, which I don't know. I feel like that's going to be a challenge for sure. It's going to take me personally multiple tries. Of course, some of you listening, you might be very quick and your geography really well for your World of Warcraft stuff. So super hyped for that information. What else do we have? Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of the changes. We do have, obviously, with the new patch happening, we've got newer pets. Like, there's going to be a couple more wild pets to get. There's a new Silithid pet. I think I said that right. Maybe. It's the unevolved Silithid grub. It looks just like the Silithid hatchling that's kind of over in the desert area there with the AQ. Of course, my geography is not so good, so I can't tell you. I forget where it is. Over there. But anyway, is it? Oh yeah, I was thinking on the other side of the continent, by where you start the starting quest by Aldum, which is not even.
Oh, you're talking about Tanaris?
Tanaris, is that all dusty?
With gadgets in, yeah.
Yeah, like a little bit further down. I think there's the Silithid hatchling, and that's where those spawn in the wild. Thanks for the assist, actually, alley-oop. Dunk, thank you. But the new Silithid pet almost looks like a reskinned model. It might not be reskinned. It does kind of look updated. Maybe just the slick red look with the beady demon green eyes are making it look that way. But looks very cool. And people are walking around. There seems to be a Scorpid skitterer. Like, it's just a scorpion, right? Like what we discussed with the graphics. Blizzard may be updating the old zones. They did go back and they updated the rabbits. Maybe it's time to update the 12 squirrel models we have, or cut out half of the squirrels and make them other companion pets. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but maybe we'll slowly start to see older models updated similar to the rabbits. That was the first time I'd ever seen.
The squirrels look square.
Yeah, they're just like, right,
Yeah.
because you've done that quest where you collect the nuts and kick the squirrels or whatever you're doing over there. They just need to be updated,
Well,
right?
thank you for noticing.
Right. So, yeah, that's, I mean, again, super hype. I was very pleased when I got the tweet from the homie Bell with just like the tweet of all
And
the
I didn't even
changes.
read it. It just said pet stuff. And I was like, I was in the
Give it to
bathroom and I'm
Jimma.
like, oh, let's forward this to Jimma so he could be in the know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I hope all of you enjoy your new pet battle achievements. And if you don't, like I said, just pick your favorite team and destroy all the people trying to achieve.
I like the way you do business.
Business.
Business. Now, Rem,
Goodness.
let's talk a little
Yes.
bit about... Now, I know it's not really like bad guys, right? I mean, technically it is because they're all things we fought and killed. So to me, that says bad guy, right? Maybe they were good at one point. But it's not how you live. It's how you go out in the world. Just because you were good before we killed you doesn't mean you're the hero and all that. Like, I'm judging you by what you put me through in Raid. So, what do you got for us?
Well, so with us coming up on kind of a head honcho bad guy and kind of like where are we going from this point on, I kind of want to roll back and talk about, in my opinion, some of my favorite bosses in raids, not just based off the mechanics of that raid and how difficult it was to clear that boss, but more based on the lore and what kind of endeavor in the game our players or our characters or the factions had to go through to overtake and to overcome this the boss, well, the story behind it. So I'm just going to do a top 5 and I'm going to just do my honorary mentions. It's nothing going to be like elaborate. I'm just going to give a small synopsis of what I was going for. So obviously my top 5 is going to be Kill Jaden is number 5.
Expected.
So with that, because you have Sunwell, he was being pulled through the portal. It was a moment of panic for everyone, because if he was getting through, then we would have another War of the Ancients kind of style, and nothing would be good for that. Honestly, if it didn't pan out the right way, we wouldn't have Azeroth anymore because we weren't ready for that kind of fight at all. And then we have Kil'jaeden and Timur Sargeras, and at that point we are like our boots are laced up and we're ready to kick some ass at that point. So it wasn't like a as big of a what's the word?
We weren't scared, or we were ready?
Yeah, we were more ready mentally and physically. Like, it wasn't a oh shit, what's going on? It was more of a okay, we're ready for this.
Right.
Even though the story was kind of like, oh, this is really, really bad. It was more of a or we're totally ready, story wise and gear wise. Number 4 is going to be his best friend Archimon.
They are kind of like besties, right?
Well, yeah, they were friends long before they were part of the Burning Legion, so they go back tens of thousands of years. So
that's a long time to be friends.
Yeah, can't imagine us being together 10,000 years. I'm
already over it, so like.
But no, so
you're on obligation only, guys.
But no, so the big thing with Archimon was back in Warcraft 3, you have him attacking the World Tree, and you replay that in the raid Hydrall Summit in the Burning Crusade, and you are acting out the old RTS campaign, and it's actually really interesting, and it shows how dangerous and how powerful Archimon was. He excuse me, forgot to mute. He pretty much put us on the edge of not the extinction, but it was a catastrophe. And you have Archimon in the Hellfire Citadel during WoD, and again, that was a
shit show is the correct term.
In terms of mechanics, yeah, mechanic-wise and story-wise, it was a really well panned out raid and fight, and it's really interesting that that was when they started the whole Mythic different story. How in Mythic he dies in the Twisting Nether, so he's actually dead, whereas in normal and heroic he kind of died on Draenor, which is really interesting. But he is dead. / sad face. So number 3 is Yogg-Saron / Algalon. So the reason behind this is Yogg-Saron is, as you may or may not know, is an old god. He is one of the reasons why N'Zoth was able to corrupt the Emerald Nightmare. He corrupted one of the world trees with Saronite. Saronite, as you is an ore in Northrend. It is
Didn't
an
we
extension.
go through a quest in a cave where we had to collect it?
Collect what?
The Saronite?
Something like that.
Is it like
yeah.
green? Like a teal?
No, it's the blue. No, it's the blue ore in Northrend.
Oh.
So Saronite is like an extension of him.
Oh, got
so
it.
what happened is he got in tap with one of the world trees that was destroyed in Northrend, and pretty much gave an opening for the old gods and the void to corrupt the Emerald Dream, and that's how you get the Emerald Nightmare and a bunch of other bad stuff. And Algalon is also in there because right after Yogg-Saron, you go and deal with Algalon. And that was one of the first times we actually got a true glimpse of the power of the Titans and kind of like what you're up against in terms of the grand scheme of things. Instead of just Azeroth is our home, but we have all these other adversaries and all these other complications that can go on just outside the Great Dark Beyond. And the second one, this was going to be number 1 if we didn't have the raid I just ruined number 1. But this new raid...
Yeah, you just totally ruined number 1. But hey, spoiler alert.
Okay, so I'm not... No spoilers with that. But it's just... number 2 / number 1 is going to be the Lich King. 1, because it completed the story from Warcraft 3. We have Arthas Menethil having a drop from hero, turning villain. It was a cliffhanger in Warcraft 3 where he just takes over as the Lich King, and the story for the Ice Crown Citadel is just one of my favorites in terms of rolling back to Warcraft 3 and just moving forward. And then Sindragosa, I added on there as a little slash as well because of the story behind Sindragosa was he was a part of the Blue Dragonflight during the War of the Ancients. And so when Netherian first pronounced himself, I don't know if I'm using that right, pronounced himself as Deathwing, as...
he came out of the closet, out of the dragon closet?
Yeah. He came out of the dragon closet and was like, hey, all the other dragon aspects, I'm better than you. And he tried to kill him off. And this is when he was already being corrupted by N'Zoth because he is the Earth Warder. So he's more in tune with Azeroth as like a, not like shamanistic, but he's more in tune with Azeroth. And that allowed N'Zoth to get up in his mind, whisper him sweet nothings, and told him he'd get unimaginable power and stuff like that. So Sindragosa was one of the dragons that went up against him, and when one of the other aspects used the dragon soul, it exploded, made an implosion of force, and she flew all the way out to Northrend and fell into the ice. And that's where you have the opening cinematic of Wrath of the Lich King, where he finds her body, he stabs the ground, all what's the word? Like all emotionally, like it was like it had a lot of you saw the gravity of the situation going on, and she pours out of the ice and she flies out. So that was Sindragosa. And
but what is gravity, Rem?
How does it work, Gemma?
You guys missed your opportunity at the start of the show when you said the PvP brawl. I'm here for a little
I feel like it works the same as your Wi-Fi being out, your internet being out, and
it comes out the microwave.
Tell us more, Rem.
So number 1 is going to be the last boss of Antorus, Argus, the Unmaker. I'm choosing Argus Rainmaker because of something that happens afterwards, and when you see the afterwards, you'll understand why. And so the story behind this is it's a world soul that's been hatched and corrupted and twisted and contorted to being a minion of Sargeras, and you really see a small hint of true power in terms of something that we are used to. It's just gnarly stuff. So honorable mentions is going to be obviously Jaraxxus, the Eridor Lord of the Burning Legion. So he is a boss in the
I
Trial
should
of
have had the
Champions.
soundbite ready. I really should have. If I would have been smart, I would have had the soundbite ready.
But he is one of the bosses in Trial of the Crusader. Not Champions. Champions a dungeon, but that is in Wrath of the Lich King. It's not really he's powerful and it was Doom. It was more of a humorous thing because this gnome, Wilfred Fizzlebang, I'm pretty sure I got that right. But he brings out this Eridar, he bites off more than he can chew, and he creates a 5-hour video on YouTube. But so another honorable mention is going to be Zul'jin. Zul'jin was back in Warcraft 2, Ties of Darkness. He was part of the old horde out of convenience because this is when the Blood Elves and the humans working together, and he knew he was up against innumerable odds against him. And so he joined up with the horde. He eventually breaks off, makes his own little cult in Dalaran, and it's all bad for the elves and all that good stuff.
The elves? Which elves?
The high elves.
Oh,
and
not
Blood
Santa's elves. Got it. Sorry.
No.
Got it.
No, but another honorable mention is going to be Gul'dan, only because we finally get to kill him ourselves. He is maybe number 3 in the greatest adversaries the Azeroth has ever dealt with, because he is part of the reason why the old horde was even able to become what it is and come to Azeroth with the help of Medivh and all that bad stuff. But a 2-parter is going to be Tichondrius and Varimathras, mostly because these are 2 people that have been behind the creation of the Scourge and the Lich King well before the events of the World Wars and the Horde coming. And seeing some of the the fights with them was really interesting. Some of the lines was for Varimathras was very interesting. But Tichondrius was in Nighthold, and Varimathras was in this newest one, the Antorus. And the interesting about Varimathras was he was friends with Banshee, Sylvanas.
I still think Tichondrius is Jaina. Just throwing that out there.
I mean, anything's possible.
Fighting him, I half expected Jaina to come, like, popping out of his face. Like, I guess that's probably not a thing.
No. But no, he did take over one of the Scarlet Crusades leaders, and that's how you get the Scarlet Monastery and all that good stuff. And then the last one is going to be Deathbringer Sarfang, aka Draenosh Sarfang. He is the son of Varuk Sarfang. I only mention this because I love the Sarfang bloodline. So you have Broxigar the Red. He is one of his story is a little confusing. So he was sent back in time in a little time. There was a time in I can't remember the name of it, but it was a portal that wasn't supposed to be there. He fell in, and him and some others. I'm messing it up. But anyways, Broxigar the Red is one of my favorite stories for the Orcish tales, and he is the uncle of Draenosh Sarfang, and Deathbringer Sarfang was at the Wrathgate. He was one of the orcs that, if you've ever watched the cinematic or the in-game cinematic, he runs up and he goes to kill or attack the Lich King, and the Lich King one swipes him and kills him, and he raises him up as one of his Death Knights, and it's really interesting in that regard. But yeah, that's some of my list, and I'm checking it twice. Not really.
Gonna find out who's naughty or nice.
But I really want to put emphasis on we've gone up against if we were in Azeroth, from our point of view, we've gone up against some of the baddest. Or in terms of what is it called when the audience knows but the character doesn't? Can't remember the term, but the audience know more than what the character in the game knows. And in terms of in Azeroth, they think that it's all good. Everything's all going to be good and jivey, and it's not. And yeah.
Huh. Good and jivey,
Yeah.
is that a thing?
I'm gonna make it a thing. Not really.
I love all of those bad guys, in truth. They're all, like, part of my favorites, guys. Just so we are clear.
Yeah, no, Ragnaros, Kel'Thas. I mean, there's a lot, but I mean...
You helped me figure out my troll name for my new troll characters that I'll level.
What's it going to be?
Zool Jim.
That's actually really good.
Go save
me
it.
a long time.
That is actually, when this show is done, since it was done, you're going to need to go...
Get that name, right? Good thing we're not live.
Oh.
I mean, not very many people, because I didn't tweet or post or anything. It was just kind of a test run. But, okay, guys, we are honing in on very overtime. I did not time keep as well as I normally do. So.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Let's talk about some forum fuckeries. There's just a couple that I wanted to highlight here. For nothing else other than there was like a favorite comment. So this post was the obnoxious things players say or do. So basically the poster said, I don't like it when people call their characters tunes, like they came over from Toontown or something. Also, I cringe every time someone complains and says that X is a slap in the face. Post your peeves. So the comment right below it, I like my tune. This post just seems to be a slap in the face.
That's pretty good, actually.
I probably laughed for like 10 minutes. My husband was just looking at me like I was retarded. That was so hilarious. But you guys should go check that out. The obnoxious things players say or do. But I just wanted to highlight Kelv. You are a Pandaren warrior, and you are my true hero, because that response was freaking amazing. Then the other one, this one was funny, and I'm going to tell you why this one was funny. Why do Horde players get offended? Now, this is not the first time I've said this. This was one of my first forum fuckeries. This is the same person that posted it. They just posted it differently. So, somebody said, didn't you post this last week? Then goes to give the history lesson. So then everybody is like, anti-hero, blah, blah, blah. I liked this post because the entire thing was actually pretty good banter back and forth about how, like, from our viewpoint as Alliance, we view them as, you know, we view Horde as evil, or not evil, but really our adversaries, and then Horde the same. But we both defend our factions in equal likeness, and we both think that we are right, when I think in reality we're probably both wrong, and we're probably pretty equal on that regard. So the forum post itself was funny because people were calling out this guy, because this is literally like the 12th time that he's posted this same post, and I just want to say, can you please stop posting that? Can you maybe post something different? But what was funny is people were linking his original post that he was posting throughout. So yeah, that had me cracking up a pretty good bit.
Exposed. Yeah,
not the brightest in the bunch on the forums. This one, I actually peed a little, and I had to go to the bathroom. Oh my god, it's gone! No! Okay, so the title of the post was Azeroth Awakens. It's Amy Schumer. What do you do? The comments were so funny. People were like, kill it with fire, gouge out my eyes. Somebody posted, what is it gonna do? Post a YouTube video of them stealing other people's jokes. Like, it just went on for page after page. I'm really, really sad that they deleted it. It was just up, like, pre-show. It was just up. I just thought it was funny because Amy Schumer is, like, random as fuck. And why, you know. The comments were golden. I'm really sad that I didn't get to read all the comments, but it was pretty great. Now, this one Blizzard needs to rework the vote kick. Obviously, it's the same mindless dribble. People always complain about the vote kick, whatever. But the comment of the day goes to the person who responded. They said, a vote has been initiated to remove player Ice Trap God, -Emerald Dream from the forum. The reason given was spamming the same topic. Do you want to kick, player name and whatever? And then there's a yes or no box. I probably once again laughed harder than I needed to. This was another post where this guy's posted the same thing. Like every other day he posts a different forum post but the same topic. Other people were linking his topics in this one too. So exposed again, called the fuck out. You cannot double post your shit. People will know.
There's people that live on the forums. Did people respond yes to the person who put the funny boxes, yes or no, like right under it? I could see replies being like yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
People did. And somebody did.
That's amazing.
Somebody put like /click. It just that player's response in general, you tip my hat to you because you are my hero because it was amazing. Like that's like me giving you this big long complaint and then you doing exactly what I just complained about, and it made me laugh. And then this one, I'm trying to remember. Oh, this was the one that prompted my the LFR. Somebody posted why is this still a thing, meaning zoning into the third boss. So that wasn't, I wanted that to be a topic of discussion. Now this next part is not something necessarily that is related to forum fuckery in any form or fashion. This is just something that I thought was interesting. I didn't prepare enough, so we're going to talk about it next week because I want to pull the images. I didn't save the images, so it's kind of a moot point to talk about it. So we'll talk about that next week. I'll just have to make a memory. But anyway, I don't even know why I brought up the subject, but I just realized that I didn't put...
a memory.
Well, I just realized that I didn't put any of the images in the scene switcher. Ramalama ding dang. So that is my forum fuckery. Guys, it was a great week for the forums. There was so many good ones that I bookmarked hoping they'll still be there. But with my luck, that Amy Schumer one was fucking pure gold. If you listen or watch the show and you saw that, that was pure gold. Now, for the end of my segment, I did get an email and I wanted to make sure that I read that. And this is from Liam. It says, during episode 188, you told us loyal listeners to email you and let you know what we thought. And I 100% agree. You can really tell the improvement in the quality that Rem is putting in to the podcast. He is easily one of my top 3 presenters on the show. That's kind of funny because...
Was that the diss on me, Rem?
No, it's just because...
No, because top 3...
There's only 3 of us, so he's...
Yeah,
I'm still happy.
He said, admittedly, I've only been listening since the Method video you did a while back. I think your first one with Method, ew, it was probably awful. But in that short time, Rem has gone from strength to strength. While I already know a lot of lore in World of Warcraft, I really enjoy his segments and look forward to each week. I listen to your podcast in the car when I'm traveling long journeys for work, and I really enjoy listening to all the segments because of that. When you mentioned about giving out the pre-show, I would be the one that would be interested in the audio version, as I never watched the YouTube video, which we would always do. Audio and video would never just be the one because our main audience, guys, is not video. YouTube is not where our audience is. We have 30,000 downloads a month on iTunes. That is where our audience is. That's where our audio is always, or that's where our audience has always been. YouTube was just something to add additional flavor to those that are visual people and wanted to just kind of interact visually. But yeah, YouTube is not where our audience is. So that's why when people are like, oh, you only have this amount of subs on YouTube. Yeah, dude, because we're a podcast. Like, that's not...
This is a way for the non-podcaster, iTunes. Like, I found you guys through YouTube.
Yeah, and it is the non...
Hello, YouTube.
Yeah, it's really the non-podcast lifers, because the people that usually do podcasts have like 30 on their phone. Like, I have 30 podcasts on my phone. So that's where audio is really where it's at. Some people are visual and they do appreciate that visual, and sometimes that's, a good connection. So he said, I did attempt to go back and listen to the other podcast from before I started listening, but it would seem that none of you are on episode 1, so I was wondering when it was that you all joined up so I can listen to the real start. Again, I enjoy the podcast. Thank you for putting in the time to give us content each week. Kind regards, Liam. He is from England, aka Super Liam. He is on Silver Moon. He noticed that the website Meet the Cast did not have Rem on there, and he is right, but I rectified that because, Liam, when I got your email, if you go to pwnecast.tv, you will notice that I have updated it. I have updated all the things on the website because I did ignore it, and I do apologize. So let me address...
It's been almost a year.
I know. Let me address to answer your question. Episode 1 through 5 was Elida, Spam, Mass Medic, and Frieza. Elida is the original creator of Pwnecast. I stepped in, I think, my first episode, I was a guest on episode 6. I skipped episode 7, I believe. The episode was Shrunken Heads. That was the very first episode I guested on back when it was audio only. And then after 11 or 12 episodes, I pretty much took over hosting. Elida came back sporadically, but then eventually the show just got given to me to take over and steer in this direction. Now, these two fine gentlemen to my left and my right have made their appearances in different ways throughout the time, which when we have our 3-year, is it our 3-year episode? 4-year?
Dang.
I don't even know how long we've been podcasting, guys. It's been a really long time. I don't know how long we've been podcasting, but when we have our anniversary episode, we always give our origin story, so make sure you look out for that because that will be coming, I believe, in April. Should be our anniversary episode. Question mark.
Bam.
Yeah, so it is coming soon. A lot of people celebrate every 100 episode. While it is a big monument, it's a monument occasion for us to have, 200 episodes. Really, the anniversary of the podcast creation is kind of what matters. So we kind of celebrate both. But yeah, I basically steered the ship, and we've been through several cast members. I am the only one from basically the very beginning. I mean, I'm not a founder, but I guess you could call me a founder because, I mean, the show is something, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I am the only reason is because I kept it going. Yeah, just a little small, just a little small insert there. But if I had not kept it going, so the show is what it is, whether it's good or bad, we don't know, but we try to make it good.
Well, if you didn't continue it on, you'd be on a different show. You would have just named it World of Belcast.
No, podcasting is not fun by yourself, guys. Nobody wants to sit and talk to themselves. I was thinking earlier, what if I started a podcast about parenting? Where I just was real. God. Where I was real about parenting, where I've always wanted to do a daily blog.
Yeah.
All you're saying is because you enjoy that lady that says mom.
But you both know that people would love to hear about my life because my life is insane and it's ridiculous.
Well, you have no filter, yeah.
Right, and it's real. But then I thought it's not really any fun to be on a podcast by myself. That doesn't sound fun to me.
Don't sell yourself short. I think
you, Ella, and Aja could have a motherly podcast.
But also think of the plus, Rem. If she did that, less motherly stories on the show.
Hey.
I'm just joking.
Wow.
I love your
family. Listen, I sit through snap after snap of your fucking dog. You are going to listen to my motherly stories.
It's not even a dog.
I love his dog. His dog is super not a dog. That dog is a human.
I get a lot of complaints of how many songs are you going to record?
Okay, the songs are annoying, but I love the dog. Fair. Anytime the dog is on your snap, that's gold. Anyway, moving on. Gold? Okay.
You're a great mother, Belle. I just want to put that out
I'm really
there.
not. I'm not. I'm not.
Well, you still can be. You got lots of time.
Yeah. My 19-year-old's a fucking nightmare, man. I'm not a good mother at all.
Most 19-year-olds are.
Gosh, God dang. Anyway, okay, moving on. Weeks in WoW. Gemma, what did you do this week in WoW?
Boom. I finally got my my poop in a group today. I have been I didn't want to cuss in live is not cool.
Did you say your poop in a group?
My poop in a group. I gathered it all up, and I mean, very limited, aka almost no gameplay last week, right? So I'm a little bit behind, I've been trying to gather up the shards. I believe they're shards to get my legendaries to 1,000. Pretty behind. So yeah, I just did a lot of that stuff. Typical Jim. I'm excited to talk about what I'm going to be doing. I haven't stepped into the new raid yet. Getting into the fun run is something I want to do, or just trying to get into some pugs, because obviously we know you're not going to complete the raid for a long time if you're trying to do it in LFR. So I got to get my poop in a group and get ready for that. And then I'm excited for future arena with my non-melee buddy Remedies, which is okay, right? We've gone over that. So a lot of arena and hopefully RBGs to come, but not the most exciting week in WoW. I had some health issues this week. Nothing like, I'm not trying to act like a victim or like I'm okay.
Banks is dying, guys.
He had a touch of the Bell syndrome.
Yeah, just quick 2 bad back-to-back migraines on 2 days on days. So that really screwed me over as far as just like gameplay and work or whatever. But things are good and a lot of good stuff to come, obviously, with all the great content in WoW now. So hope to be enjoying that in the weeks to come.
Sweet. Rem, we kind of had split schedules this week as far as like gaming stuff. So I don't actually know what you did.
I did a lot. Back to you, Val. Just kidding. No,
I was like,
So, like I was saying before, I don't know if I mentioned last week how I'm leveling up the Horde, and so what it is, I leveled to 60. I picked my professions. I boosted it by buying Legion on an old.
Yeah, you cheese. I was gonna say.
So I only spent $25 for a boost. Go me. But it's an undead on connected to Argent Dawn, because I have Argent Dawn full of all the classes, because why the hell not? And so I leveled that to 110 actually just yesterday. And so I'm just gonna get it leveled up and get it ready for BFA. I'm not gonna like worry about getting everything done on it, because I'm honestly not gonna put that much time into it at the moment. So I'm just gonna get it ready for BFA, and more than likely gonna race change it to Nightborn or something else. But with the raid, we cleared normal twice, one last week, and then again on Sunday, and then we went into heroic on Monday, and it was painful. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that in depth. And
I mean, it's progress, right?
It's progress. It was good progress. Some slip ups. It's an easy fix. We'll get in it and complete it. But so last week they nerfed Shadow Priest by 4% on all the dots, and then they did a change with Void Eruption that didn't need to be done, but it is what it is. And then on Monday, I was told, oh, hey, did you hear about the Shadow Priest changes going live on Tuesday, the day of Mythic? I was like, no, let me hear what's going on. And I went and checked, and immediate confusion, rage, and a whole bunch of emotions. So, yeah, that went down. Still not happy about that. My damage is not where it was like a day before testing it on a dummy, but I will carry on. And yeah, what is your weekend WoW, Belle?
Well, my weekend WoW. By the by, this is not podcast related, but we have a subscriber, and I don't know how to check who subscribed or any of that stuff because I'm super new.
I noticed that.
It's Cool J Punk. How do you not know?
That's
Cool
my
J?
dude. Like, he's my dude. He has his own podcast. I think it's called Podcast. Maybe ?
You're a liar.
No, I swear. Yeah.
But
it's called Podcast. They're good people.
I didn't know.
Podcast.
Podcast. POT. Yeah, he has a podcast. That's my
Got a
dude.
new
Like, he's been our dude
subscriber.
since day one. He was like in our very first stream from day one. He's like
Really?
always been the homie. Anyway, okay, week him out. I did a lot of getting my legendaries upgraded. I got a legendary in raid. I did raid with the guild, and a couple of you had made comments that it felt like my topic of conversation was kind of out of place. But when we're talking about our weeks in WoW, or even in our segments that are personal to us, it's never out of place when it's real, right? When it's real feelings. I just wanted everybody to know, like, sometimes you're going to have feelings. And I think that is what makes part of what we do good, because we have that reality in gaming where I'm not sugarcoating and saying everything is awesome even when I want to fucking slam my head against the wall.
Everything is cool.
Yeah, like, I think it's nice that we have those moments, and in those like I said, I was able to really see what the real issue was for me. And I did raid with the guild. My DPS is average. I'm the bottom of the DPS, but that's not really saying much, because somebody has to be at the bottom, guys. Like, there has to be a person on the bottom.
Someone has to be the bottom bitch.
Most fights I pulled my weight. It was only for the super, like, multiple mechanics going on for ranged, where you could tell, because it was my first time in the raid, once like muscle memory with those mechanics kicks in, it'll be just like it is on the bosses where it's not heavy mechanics, where it's just easy for me, where I was pulling, you know, way over the benchmark, which is nice. Because I think they had set the benchmark at like 800 or 900K, maybe for their normal to start off until you start getting gear. And I think I was at like 1.2 million.
No, you're doing good.
Most of the time. So I felt pretty good about that. But I just been working on looking at different sources just to see, you know, what I need to do, since I'm not jumping into the PvP full swing until it's different. I needed to pick a thing and stick to it. So that's what I've been doing. I've been focusing on making sure that I have the gear that I need to have, and I have the correct stats, and upgrading my legendaries, doing, you know, back end stuff for the guild, gearing up for, we have the Writers Holiday Party that I host online. And then we have the bells rockin' New Year's Eve, because I'm a loser and I don't go out because I have children. We stay home, and instead I ring in the new year with my guild, and we all get drunk on Zoom, and that's basically the evening. Last year I had people drunk before it was even like midnight.
There's always the premature drunkies.
Oh yeah, we had people completely shit-faced, which was nice.
Wasn't there some clothes missing? Or
no, there wasn't clothes missing, but I felt bad because I didn't want to get her in trouble. It was Cal and Zura. I got Zura pretty shit-faced. But I felt like I was messaging him, and I was like, it wasn't me, but it really was me. But it's nice to do that sometimes. So that's pretty much been my focus. I didn't get any game time in last night, sadly. I had too much stuff to do. And
sounds like you've been pretty busy.
Well, I just said I'll just drink a beer. I'll do everything I need to do on my laptop. I did show prep. I did, you know, all that stuff. And then I just watched... I watched movies, so it's nice. This weekend, though, I'm hitting PTR because I've met the videos that I have to do, and there's some things that I want to clarify before I talk about them, to make sure that I'm giving the correct information from the actual standpoint versus data mine information, because I like to do that. So that's pretty much my week in the wonderful world of Warcraft. Guys, I want to tell you that we had a great show. I also want to tell you there was somebody who said mean things to me on iTunes. I'm not even gonna, normally, you know, I call them out, right? You know, I love calling them out.
That's your thing, yeah.
I've decided I'm not even going to call them out. I'm not even going to give them the pleasure. It hurt my feelings for like 5 minutes, and then I was like, I was walking around the house going, fuck your mother. Like, it was just a bunch of like, shit just coming out of my mouth, because I was just like, who cares? I just want you to know that you don't affect me, and I don't give a shit what you think. How about that?
Bam.
That was not to you guys at home, okay? That was not to you guys. Now, for those of you listening on audio and those of you watching, if this was a little weird episode format-wise because we were talking about things, it's just because we did a soft going back live, because we have not been live on Twitch in quite some time, and I wanted to just test audio and do it in a non-tweet to everybody that we're live.
Non-formal matter.
Yeah, and then shit's screwed up and stuff's, you know, whatever.
And then we're embarrassed with the heights.
Right. Shout out to Aja and Ella and those of you that joined. Next week, we will be back live, and we will set aside a special time for questions. And throughout the segments, we'll randomly look to see if any questions need to be answered and all those kinds of things. So, guys, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for listening and watching. Thank you for spending your 2 hours with us every week. We appreciate it, and we love you. And we're going to get the hell on out of here, guys, because...
Yeah, we love you all in a platonic way.
Because we had a kick-ass show.
Yeah, we love you all in a platonic, not weird way. But maybe it's weird sometimes, depending.
You just said saying it's not weird just makes it weird.
Yeah.
Does it make it weird?
Yes.
And some people might want to be loved weird, so...
I mean,
Stop.
You're right.
Life?
You're right.
Sorry, go on.
You're 150% right. I got you.
What, that you were just reading chat?
I was reading chat. Guys, we're going to get on out of here. Bye. No, seriously, I was reading chat. I was reading chat. I am guilty of the chat reading. So now I have to figure out, because you know we're in the affiliate program, and I never set any of that stuff up, so I don't know how to look at any of that.
But that's what I was gonna say. I didn't even know that people could subscribe.
I don't see. Well, there is a subscribe button.
Yeah, I'll fix all that stuff tomorrow, because I don't know how any of that stuff works. But I do want to say that I did good and did not look at chat the majority of the time.
Yeah, and like even me joking around, like after my segment, like during his lore segment, I don't see any harm in me interacting